join us, hopefully. And we are here live from Fordham University in Lincoln Center in New York, and I'm with my class. Sorry. And as you see, it's nice. We are going to be, in fact, very unprofessional today. and that's fine. Apologies. And that's fine. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to everybody, right? So I have Antonio in a white shirt, but here he is, right? Okay. Then I have Sophia. And then I have Sherelle.
Hello.
And then I have Salman. And then I have Stanley.
No.
And I have Michael. So this is today kind of opening the door to a classroom where we are talking every week about innovation and about strategies for growth. Of course, it's in the context of a program called the Organizational Leadership. Paul Vilevac is our guest, and he's joining us from California virtually, but he cannot be here. So he's an incredible innovator in all sense of the word. And not only in the high tech in general, but he's a visionary. So here is Paul.
Wow.
Hey, Paul.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Paul, we see you're in the classroom. It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, everybody, again. We had some things we talked about here about innovation. But look, this is our time with very interesting people that surround me here. There are students here at Fordham University in the Organizational Leadership Continued Program, with me in the class that is called, in fact, Leading Innovation and Strategies for Growth. I don't know how many times we met, but we're forming a little family already. So we have been really interested in many aspects of innovation. But with you, Paul, we're going to try to have another angle a little bit. So I gave a little bit of an introduction before you joined for all the people that are watching this evening. Not only watching now, but which will watch later because it's recording on all the different channels. So we are on YouTube, and please, everyone who is there, subscribe to YouTube. This is the only way we can add content. We can see that you're interested. We need stimulation, but we need also momentum. So please subscribe to YouTube. Do not be shy. It will not hurt you. Second thing is, if you have any questions to ask, please send it on the website at andrepolitzer.com. That's the website, and you can send us a message. But the only inconvenience of our Zoom call this evening is that we cannot get live chat with you and get your questions while we're talking. So that's the only downside of this setting that we have. Okay. All right, Paul, again. So how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Great. We are really great. So for the first time, we really have a springtime today in New York. Yes.
Nice.
And we're always jealous of you because you have the nicer weather. Where are you located?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
We're about 4 months into the rainy season, that last 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe if I may, and I know you're a little shy about this, but if I can, because I need you adding, or you're really busy with different things and change those things very regularly. So maybe we can have a little bit of your version of Paul Vilevac today. What is it that you're up to?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So currently I work for SentinelOne. They're a very innovative cybersecurity company. I report to the Senior Vice President of Engineering for Platforms and Data. I'm effectively his Chief of Staff, whatever that means. But my focus is to try to help SentinelOne continue to exceed all expectations, both those of our customers and, just as importantly, those of our investors. So it's centered around leveraging a background in data analytics and technology to find opportunities for optimizations, to find new technologies that we can leverage to improve the quality of service that we have, and expand out how we help our customers protect themselves.
Very good. What is it that the company does exactly? What service is
it? So they're a cybersecurity provider. So they have a mix of data analytics platform where they can ingest massive amounts of volumes from all the typical enterprise security solutions you have, as well as our own antivirus, anti-malware agent that runs on the endpoints. And both in the kind of workstation server space as well as in the cloud. So it's a fully integrated, broad portfolio of cybersecurity capabilities provided and wrapped around artificial intelligence that help provide actionable insights into the risk and the status of the way a company is operating, our customers are operating.
Wow. I just think while I'm listening to you of all the years that passed since I know you, and that now you're talking about artificial intelligence. So I think you probably have a pretty strong change of paradigm in your profession and how you see this profession. So maybe I will ask only one question, and thank you for sharing all of this with us. And then I'll let everybody, I'll in fact move the microphone like this and give it to people, to the students to ask you questions and interact with you. This is really you and them rather than me. I just have one last or first question, and maybe I'll have a couple of more, I don't know, but this one I have is exactly, in fact, what changed for you, because you've been a lot involved in different things with technology, coding, cybersecurity, a lot in cybersecurity. You also shared at the time some concerns that you had about, how can we really secure in a real, very solid way, the cyberspace. From the moment we met the first time to this day, what was the main change for you, in fact, in what you do?
I honestly would say that when you and I met, I was in the midst of helping build my own startup or building other people's startups and working with early stage companies, whether it's my own idea or somebody else's, to bring, innovation into a space in which we identified opportunities. So really digging in and seeing and recognizing that there are things that could be done better, particularly with the application technology, but not always. Throughout my career as an engineer and architect and CTO and all the things I've done, cybersecurity is always an aspect that I believe is part of just one of the disciplines that ought to be part of anybody who works in computer or information security or IT or anything. It shouldn't be a dedicated function. It shouldn't be a dedicated discipline. It should just be a common skill set. And having spent many years infusing all the things I was doing with cybersecurity, having the opportunity to leave Nike, where I was advising the CISO and helping build multi-year roadmaps in cybersecurity, to move to a dedicated cybersecurity firm was an opportunity to really take what I had been practicing for decades and work for a company that focused just on that. And so it's been a fun place to be, and certainly with the work with AL, I've been doing machine learning and data analytics for more than a decade. Maybe not I still don't think that there's AI, but we could have a separate discussion about that. But applied intelligence, applied data analytics to the cybersecurity space is something that I'm very excited about. And it's been an area where, I grew up dirt poor in Ohio, and then both the technology and then having a little bit of a specialization and expertise in cybersecurity has opened up a level of success that I've enjoyed, that the people, like my family, it's like generational wealth they sometimes refer to, but it's not. It's like I'm establishing the first generation of people who actually have money in my family. And it's afforded me a lot of great opportunities. It's helped me make a lot of tremendous connections. And it's something that, even through, there's an organization that I helped found and have built out called Rapid Ascent, which centers on helping people train for opportunities in cybersecurity. And I'm very passionate about opening up opportunities for the people and like me who were underrepresented in technology, who were people who grew up poor, who grew up scrappy. I was a former enlisted Marine. I put myself through college working as an auto mechanic. But part of what we've opened the door to with Rapid Ascent is training for vets to come out and transition into the civilian world. And we've brought a lot of innovation just into the concept of how do you train and educate people in this space. And then expanding that to provide scholarships and opportunities. We're partnered with WISES, which is Women in Cybersecurity, partnered with just a broad number of people because I really believe passionately in the opportunity to allow anybody who has the passion, to have the opportunity to really make a radical change in their trajectory. So.
Well, that's a lot of things that can resonate with you guys. So anyone wants to take over?
I mean, I definitely have questions.
Okay, yes. Go ahead.
No, so I watched the video that you sent to us of your
Yes.
guys' discussion about 8 months ago.
He doesn't know, yeah, Paul, I sent our last meeting.
I appreciate that.
No, but it was interesting. And so I heard of Rapid Ascent. I've heard of your connection to Sentinel-1. And one of the things I kind of want to discuss early on, though, was I saw that AI was a big part of Sentinel-1. And what I wanted to understand was, how does AI come into play with what you do? How does that help your job or whatever it does?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to qualify a little bit because I really dislike the term AI. It's a marketing term more than anything. Machine learning is really where my background is, and it's what I did partly at Nike, among other things, and what I focus on here. And machine learning really centers on the idea of taking a large amount of data and finding ways to compute correlations that help you drive insights, right? So a lot of my work over the past year and a half, 2 years has really been more on the FinOps side. How do we operate as a business model? What are the things that are driving up our costs? And how do we make sure that we're modeling those expenses in a way that translates to insights that help us become a more profitable company? And so machine learning in my world is really centered on how do we leverage all the data that we have to figure out exactly what matters and how do we actually take something useful, do something useful with that. And it's really, I think, what AI is becoming, and we'll talk a little bit later maybe about what I see coming in the very near future. Right. And how that all plays in. But Sentinel-1, on the other hand, one of the biggest challenges in the cybersecurity industry is just the amount of data that they're trying to manage, the amount of events, the amount of potential pieces of files, of software, of application, of user behavior, of vulnerabilities of their operating systems, of all the complex computing systems. How do you take all that and make it possible to identify when you're under attack? And how do you automate intelligently how to block it or prevent it or reverse it? And that's really what Sentinel-1 has done.
So AI would help to do that?
Yeah, absolutely does. Okay. So typically you'd have these things, folks called SOC analysts, security operations center analysts, right? And they sit there all day and they look at alerts saying, oh, this person's computer might be infected. And they'd go in and they'd drive down and they'd go collect a bunch of information and they'd poke a bunch of different things and they'd look for indicators of compromise. And once they kind of collected those patterns together, they would start looking at, okay, is this actually an incident and what do we do about it? And how broadly has it reached across organization? That entire workflow, that entire gathering the information, gaining insights, deciding what actions to take, taking appropriate actions, maybe fanning that action out across, has all been automated at Sentinel-1 using our artificial intelligence. And we are about 2 weeks away. It's already been publicly announced. We're going to launch a generative AI or LLM-based, large language model-based AI, where people can ask questions and they can ask follow-up questions, and it'll even give you advice. It'll say, by the way, you may want to go look at this. It looks suspicious. It doesn't trigger any alerts, but it's odd. Or you could ask like, hey, there's news out about some new Chinese cybersecurity threat actor who's taking some action. Are we at risk? And you ask it in plain language. And our Purple AI will translate that into irrational questions, look across all your data. I mean, we're talking petabytes and petabytes of data, and come back and say, here's your risk profile. Here's the potential. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. And oh, by the way, you should probably go take a look at these things a little further.
No, I wanted to find out, our listeners and the audience that we have is not necessarily technical. So we're going to have to use the user's language.
AI for dummies.
AI for dummies.
Sure.
No, but just one thing. Okay, data. Okay, my computer is infected. All of this okay, but how do you in fact? AI is very, very nebulous, abstract kind of stuff for everybody. I'm telling you, as an idiot-proof user, how I'm guessing what it is. I'm guessing like machine learning, right? The machine is learning about me as a learner, about my space of learning, understanding. And then as much as the machine is learning about me, the machine is going to give me what I need. That's what artificial intelligence. How do you apply that now to your world with on the side and cybersecurity? I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Think about as opposed to being a learner, you're a technology professional, right? Your job is to make sure that all the things are protected in your world. There's a lot of abstract data that comes in, right? There's a lot of things that happen on a computer constantly, whether you're visiting a website, opening an email, extracting a file, an archive, installing software. Those things happen massive scale in most enterprises. 1 second. Computer, stop. Oh, sorry. My computer triggers on the word computer. AI for you, right? Machine learning and anyway, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is a lot of times people think that artificial intelligence and machine learning are a replacement for experts, right? But it's more of an expert system. It's the ability to take large amount of information, very to you and I, you like just even trying to look through it as a human being would be impractical. Like millions of records, right? And then trying to say, okay, of all these things I'm looking at, which ones actually matter? Which ones actually indicate that there's a problem here? Which ones tells me that there's a market opportunity here? Which one of these things tells me that this person is going to be receptive to what I'm teaching them, right? And looking at all those markers and being able to use a computer that can create a model. So one of the things I often talk about is I'm a model builder. Not like planes, but like mental models, right? I can tell you countless number of models in economics and cybersecurity and computer programming that help people understand and communicate about what they're working with, right? It helps us understand something abstract or complex, right? Blueprints are a model that help you understand the layout of a house.
Okay.
The interesting thing about artificial intelligence is the idea that they build a model that helps them understand what's happening. But then they iterate on it and they refresh it and they say, hey, based upon the model I have currently, I'm the AI, based upon the model I have in my head right now about what you're talking about, how does this look to you? Like, here's what I'm offering. Imagine like a cook, right? I'm going to go in the kitchen, I'm going to make a meal. I'm a dumb AI, I'm an untrained AI. I'm just going to go throw things in a pan and see what happens, right? But as I get feedback from you, as you taste things, as maybe I add more intelligence by reading a cookbook, watching some YouTube videos, I get smarter. That's what artificial intelligence and machine learning does. It iteratively finds an opportunity to become more intelligent.
But you feel that it's gonna be sooner than later.
Yes, I will tell you this. I hate to admit it, but I think that AI is going to have a very profound impact in all of our worlds in a way that is far faster than people are anticipating and far more broadly than we expect. And I am very frightened and concerned about how that can be accomplished without robbing everybody of the opportunity to have a decent quality of life.
It's not fully answered, but I wanted to ask, with all the excitement about AI, are people forgetting how the opportunity gap for employment with the shift in AI? Because everyone clearly can't be an engineer or IT. That's not everyone's field. So, and I know Stanley's question was very powerful because he's like, okay, I'm looking at job security. Sure, we would all love to be artists speaking, but realistically, where does that leave people who their menial skills is simply just manual labor?
Yeah. It is frightening, isn't it? I mean, it really is a cause for broad concern. I have a daughter who's going through college right now in graphic design, and there is an effort to use technology and or artificial intelligence to create art. And it is causing a commoditization of art skills. It is destroying potential livelihood. And I'm afraid that that's going to happen more. So as somebody with an economics background, you have to ask the question, what's going to be the result of that? Like, will we end up with basic, a universal basic income where we all get paid a certain amount? Or are we going to continue to see accumulation of wealth by the very small percentage at the top as fewer of us can make a decent, significant living, right? It's frightening. And I don't think that anybody's really put the effort or energy into having a thoughtful conversation about that and planning for it.
I just want to say something about this. I usually have those conversations also here. And I think that the mindset for me, and that's what I shared with my students here, is that if you look backwards, generation by generation, decades by decades, all the different discoveries, Einstein and the nuclear forces and all of those things, is that we adapted. We regulated, and then new professions came up, and then there were ways to transfer skills.
You're right. I mean, what happened to all the people who made their living related to managing and engaging horses, right? You know, the automobile came out and everybody was afraid that, you know, they would lose their opportunities. I mean, my family's name translates, depending on who you ask, the blacksmith, right? So maybe sometime long in the past, my family were blacksmiths. Yeah, it's a Croatian name. It means blacksmith or son of the blacksmith.
I'm curious to know, like, for most of us that got to make our mistakes in a long time ago, before it was everything on social media, and then we get to grow up and be grown-ups that don't have a past. For these new generations that do have a past, and that they're putting everything out there, like, where are we on that? You know, because it seems like we're giving out constantly, but we're not able to control our own privacy in that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very valid point. I think that we are seeing a bit of innovation in the idea of privacy and an evolution, including particularly legislative protections. Like California has their own Privacy Act, your EU has the GDPR. There is some evolution there that's happening, but it is scary how much incentive there is in tools like TikTok and Facebook for people to willfully surrender their privacy. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but there's clear and obvious incentives to do so. And it is troubling. It is a bit troublesome in the fact that, you know, it's the value that those who are surrendering their privacy are not receiving the reward for the actions they're taking, right? The majority of the value being created by this perception by people, you know, doing the things they do, it's not back to the individual reward, right? And we're all surrendering our privacy, and we're sometimes willfully surrendering our privacy on the chance that it's going to pay off, or it's going to provide us with other things that are maybe not monetary, but there's a sense of some incentive, right? There's some reward that we're receiving for doing those things. Look how many likes I have. Look how many facts I have. There is a lot of movement towards the right to be forgotten, which is one of those opportunities. There's also a lot of concern around public records that are being published and exposed. I'm optimistic that as we continue to see the evolution of our relationship with the world around us and those who will mediate that communication, and that there'll be a more equitable distribution or communication about what exactly we are surrendering and what exactly we're getting back. And maybe we can find a way to be more thoughtful about it. But you're right. My son is 23, my daughter, well, he's about 24. My daughter's 21. They're not big users of social media overall. They kind of are young enough that they're more into Discord and gaming and that kind of social interaction than TikTok and YouTube. But you're right. There is definitely a bit of inequality in how those who receive the benefit of us surrendering our privacy are enriched and we aren't. I really think that what we're going to see is customizing and tailoring to an audience of one, right? How do you do that at scale? How do you build the opportunity to do these things in a way that I don't care what you're marketing. I don't care what you're trying to communicate. It could be political. It could be anything. But we now have machine learning and AI has this scary ability to take the individual profile and gather up all this information about individuals, violating our privacy at boot, and then come back with a highly effective message, a highly effective means of engagement. And for right or wrong, I think that that's going to be what we're going to be seeing over the next 3, 6, 8, 12 months. Although the funniest thing is, as much as I say that, I keep finding more and more, like my kids are less and less connected. Send them an email, forget it, right? They get a random text from somebody. No, they pretty much ignore it, right? But it's that chain of trust that they've created with their peers and their friends, and how things flow through that are really interesting. And I think it's partly why influencers are so important, is that there are like influencers are a way to get something into the collective awareness. But what I'm also finding is that there's a lot of people who are mostly my age group, but maybe a little bit younger, that are finding greater value in unique or distinct items. Like, if I'm going to buy a book, if I want to go read a book, I may actually go buy a printed copy. I may even go buy a hardbound copy, just because there's more to the experience of reading that book than just, flipping on my iPhone, right? And I'm starting to see a lot more of that. I mentioned in our previous conversation about how my kids recognize things that are manipulative versus genuine value. And they value those things. Like they really recognize that there are things that are novel and inherently genuine, and they engage with that.
I'm so sorry. It would be great to stay here for another 2 or 3 hours with you.
Anytime.
Unfortunately, the end of our show today. Any last word for everybody here you want to say to Paul?
I just want to say thank you for your time.
Okay.
Anything else would probably be too much, but thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am a big fan of helping. Like, everything I have enjoyed, everything I've accomplished has really been because of opportunities I've been given, and me trying to do my best to take advantage of that. And usually it's because of my friends and the people I know. And I'm always happy to find opportunities and extend opportunities to other people. It's up to you what you do with that opportunity, but reach out and engage. And if there's something I can do to further along, I'm happy to. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your time.
Thank you,
Really.
Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.